How you doing, folks? It's your boy Uncle Drumz. I'm my co-host.
Silver Tea Lyneng, how you doing?
I'm good. How's the week been?
Oh boy. Well, you know what? I've been feeling just exceptionally fantastic. Like, I think that in the mornings I have a ritual of doing a full body stretch,
Go on.
listening to something mindful and enlightened. First thing in the morning, no texts, no nothing. Just I wake up, I say my prayer of gratitude. I listen to something enlightening. Today I heard something about shadow behavior and shadow personality. I sent that to you, Drums, today.
Yes.
For those who don't know about shadow behavior, look it up. It's so interesting. Talking about our characteristics, but that's another show. And then I done a full body stretch and I was ready for my day, and it sets me up and I feel amazing. It's a great day to be alive.
That's right. People, thank you very much for joining us this week. It's another special one. No guest this week, just me and Silver back and forth like table tennis.
All right.
Yeah, what's the topic this
Well,
week?
the topic of the hour is a passionate one. It really is. Let me clutch my pearls. It's on parenting styles. So let me just, let me get into it. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So you do not need to be a parent to relate to this topic. As long as you are existing, you have been someone else's child and you have been parented, be it by biological or guardians.
Of course.
And what I'd like us to do today is just have a reflective journey on how we were parented, and for those of us who are parents or guardians, how you then have gone on to parent your own offsprings. Now, little disclaimer, as we say, there is no wrong or right in some scenarios. There is just differences. But in some scenarios, which I'm going to start off first, because parenting is quite an ambiguous and broad subject. Let me start off by parenting in regards to beatings versus communication.
That's a good one.
I'm just gonna pause, let that marinate, because everybody knows. Yeah, everybody knows how I feel about the beatings. I do not promote it. Okay. Can I explain what I mean? Because people are like, beatings. What do you mean you don't? It seems to be like it's normal. Like, let me explain something. Cultural differences play a big role in how we raise our children. Okay. And even if you were raised westernized, there's still a legacy for how we then go on to nurture our own offsprings. Now, I am not opposed to seeing a very unruly child have a little shake up, real talk, a little shake up, a little one clap. If they really need it, a one clap is not beatings. Understand the difference. Now, I was a young mother, so one would expect me to be erratic, but I actually wasn't. I coped. I think I'll say I coped pretty fine. I had my moments of stress, but I was a single mother from 17. And my son, if you're listening, big up yourself, Prince Ravel.
Large up.
Yeah. I recall giving him about 2 smacks in his life, and that devastated me. I'm going to be honest with you. And that sounds pathetic, me saying that to those who are used to some Zulu whippings. But let me explain this to you. Yeah, this is not Kunte Kinte time, okay? My thing was trying to break a generational behavior, and communication is everything. I understand that not every child's gonna hear. Some children have stick bracking on them ears, as we say, translation, hard of hearing, don't listen, unruly. And I understand, but for me, I feel like we should exhaust ourselves, exhaust the communication realm, have time out, have reflection time, take away their fun assets, game consoles or whatever it is. Don't send them out to play, don't buy them the latest trend. Whatever you got to do, make that volatile behavior be the last result. I'm going to pause right now, I'm getting passionate, so Drums, get into it, please.
Well, I can say I am a child of beaten. I've been grown up and been beaten. Yeah, that's what they called it in my days. I'm growing up on licks.
Can I ask you one question before you persist, if you don't mind?
Yeah, go on.
Do you agree to it or do you not? Just so we understand where you're coming from.
I'd say 50-50 because there's,
Okay.
you can get beaten. Like, I've been beaten and I think, now that's overboard. Yeah. But then I've been to some other people's house, and that's like Tyson in the house now.
Okay, so break it down a little bit. Let's not. It's such a passionate topic that if you're comfortable, and viewers, you see with me, I make myself uncomfortable because you cannot grow with comfortability. You cannot.
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable, Drums, and the viewers are comfortable, then, or listeners, give us some examples of what you are comfortable with sharing, so we can really understand.
So when I was younger, I was, well, it's going to be going into something else, but when I was in primary school, my mum was full flight, yardie and hardcore. Yeah? And she grown up on licks. And that's what she's going to give to her picnic, which is me.
Was mum born in Jamaica?
Born in Jamaica, born and bred, hardcore.
Okay.
Yeah? Yardcore, yeah? So,
right.
yeah, she was born there, and that was the tradition that grew her up, right? And basically, I'm in school. I'm going to blow up this teacher right now. Her name was Miss Ryan.
Okay.
Sunny Hill School. Yeah? This teacher, for some reason, liked to get me in trouble. She know my mum's aggressive. Yeah, so say like she's reading a book and she says the blue tit, and I start laughing now, and a couple other kids start laughing in the class because obviously you mentioned the word blue tit. Yeah?
Okay.
So she thinks that it's acceptable to tell my mum that I was laughing and I caused other kids to laugh.
Okay.
And I'm a child in primary school. Yeah? I'm not no teenager, I'm a child, a little kid. Maybe 6, 7. So she tells my mum that. That's the wrong thing you're going to tell my mum now, Carl. That's licks on the spot, licks on the way home, and a bigger beating up when I get home.
Was there any form of communication, dialogue at all?
No, it's just you straight up and you embarrass me and you this and it's licks.
Okay, so let's go back to that little boy for a moment. Okay, flow with me.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
You're young. Give me age, an example.
6, 7.
All right, you're 6, 7. You know once you do wrong or wrong in the eyes of your mother or school, you're going to get licks.
100%.
Did that have, as young as you are, any profound, detrimental, damaging effect at that stage that you were aware of? Or did you, so you was aware from that young that it was affecting you negatively?
Of course.
Not just the physical pain I'm talking about.
No, it's emotional because it's like when the teacher says, oh, he was doing this, yeah, and she got a smirk on her face, white lady, yeah? When she says he was doing this and he got a smirk on his face, and she's smirking while she's telling my mum.
Right.
So I'm looking at my mum like, oh, then this woman is grinning though.
Okay.
Why are you not questioning that? Why are you not questioning that the woman is grinning? But that's all you needed to hear because from there it's licks.
Okay.
So let's say like on the way home, they're cussing and this and that. So I'm crying because I already know what's coming.
Okay.
I know what's coming. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So you get battered, then you go back to school the next day, pissed off because the teacher done that to you, yeah? It's basically her fault.
Okay.
And then she waits for her next opportunity to do the same thing again.
Okay, so for those who has just literally joined also the live streams, we're talking about parenting styles. And we know it's a very ambiguous topic, it's so broad. At the moment we're starting off with beatings versus communication and cultural differences in how we raise our children. And co-host here, Sir Drumz, is talking about his experience as a young boy, you know, and his experience as a young boy and what that was like for him. So you're saying that, can I ask you, as we all think, well, not all, for those who think, let me say, that beatings is okay, and people look at me like I'm crazy because I don't support it, yeah? Can you, other than the embarrassment, the physical pain, and the emotional trauma, did the beatings keep you in line at all? 'Cause that's the whole point, to have your child submit.
I think what it does, yeah, because it's like I said, it's 50-50. It's got its good parts and it's got its bad parts. You will be under control because I knew that there's a certain behaviour I'm gonna have to uphold.
Okay.
As a little kid coming up.
Okay.
But I might go to my white friend's house and he's like, oh, fuck off, you stupid bitch, you better like you slag. And hold on a minute.
The Osborns.
Yeah, no, hold on a minute. And so
Okay.
what did he just say? Fuck off, man, you stupid slag. And I'm like, raw. I couldn't even think about that. So with them licks, it kind of kept me in line.
Okay, so that is the whole point. Let's not forget the point. The point of parents, I'm going to call it battering your children.
Yes.
Because it is volatile.
Yeah, of course it is.
As fuck.
Of course
Okay?
it is, of course it is.
It's to keep your children in submission of control.
Of course.
Okay? We get that. My philosophy is this. If parents has to batter their children to terrorize them, to get them to hear, that says more about the parents as far as I'm concerned, not even the child.
Of course.
That's just my honest opinion.
Of course it does.
Again, I say, if you're the type that gives your child, I'm fine with that. Some children need that little one clap. I've got people in my family that I grew with. Had they got that one clap, they'd have been totally different. No, I'm being real. You know, you see relatives, cousins, whatever, they needed a one clap. Manners. In my household, manners was prominent. And don't tell lies. Those were the things that my parents were very strict on. Again, I say, I'm mixed cultured, Dominican and Jamaican. Dad was always the predominant energy. As he calls, I'm running.
Yes.
Yeah? Mum called, coming in a minute. There was no minute with Dad. His voice ricocheted through the building, for the house. But here's the thing. I don't remember being smacked more than twice in my life. So what I'm noticing is most people who has been beaten growing up feel like it's okay to beat their children. This is what I've noticed. It didn't do me any wrong. And what I've noticed is it has, because they've gone on to continue the legacy of beating their children. Now, my mother, on the other hand, witnessed a lot of beatings in Jamaica and experienced a handful.
Of course. She's
against it. Born Jamaican, okay? She's against it because she saw the brutality. I'm talking about unnecessary brutality.
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course.
My dad now, I would say, by the time me and my younger sibling came, we escaped all that. He'd softened.
Yeah, of course.
My other siblings, it's another level. It's another level. To me, that's what you call real Afrocentric, back in those days, slavery type of beatings, from what I'm understanding, straight. Yeah? I got quite a big family, sisters and brothers, and it was only me and my youngers that didn't experience that kind of viciousness. Now, outside of my siblings, one thing I have, why I'm so against it also, when you are beating your children into submission, okay?
Yeah, it's hard.
When you're beating them into submission, again, we say we know the point of that practice. A lot of these men and women has grown up to be either the bullies as children in schools. They couldn't control mum or dad who was hitting them at home. So they've gone into the schools and they've become the bad boy or girl in the school. That's how they release their pain. That's their form of self-harm. Okay? And some of these individuals have grown up to be domestic violence predators. Because violence is all they knew. I have dated individuals who said the way they were beaten was crazy.
Yeah.
Hung up on a tree back home, kind of beaten. Hung up and beaten from a tree like slaves.
Yeah.
So they come to London now and they meet people like me, and I don't understand that kind of behaviour. I feel like, again, I say the physical pain is one thing, but the psychological, the spiritual, the emotional, and even how it affects the sexual. I'm gonna go deep on this. Okay? Many desires that we have is stemming from childhood. I'm not gonna go too deep on a sexual practice, but parenting is very broad.
Of course.
The way some people desire sexual gratification is extremely violent. Profoundly violent. It's a trend. Normal sex ain't cool anymore. It's busting ass in the bedroom. Do you understand? And people don't seem to understand. This beating is not just beating. It transcends into many other vessels in that one root, which we are a tree.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I do agree. And what I would say from the bad side of beating. What I learned, what I knew. When I was in primary school, because I left that primary school and I went to another one, and I was getting terrorized. I was getting blasted up, terrorized, embarrassed, and I wouldn't fight back.
This is so you wasn't physical when you was being people wanted to fight you in school.
No, I wasn't fighting back.
Is that because you saw violence?
I just didn't want to fight.
Okay.
I just didn't want to fight. I went to a school where the first school I went to where Miss Ryan, Miss Ryan, if you're listening, you know who you are, right? You're such a great teacher, right? So I went to a school, that first school, where I wasn't a bad kid. I was just a 6-year-old, just mischievous. And not mischievous like I'm doing anything wrong. I just might laugh when you say blue tit or do something, or I can't, like I see it in my son. My son used to find it hard to concentrate. He still does. But I used to go through the same thing, so I know what that is.
Me too. Okay.
Yeah? But for this teacher, that's a problem because you're going to go and tell my mum for me to get licks. So I've left that school now, and they've labelled me as a bad boy. I'm a bad child. You're disruption to other kids and you're a bad example. I haven't really done anything, you know.
Okay, so I'm gonna say whilst we're doing live on UJR as well as live stream, those who's locked into the live stream on Facebook, leave your comments. What are your thoughts? What are your cultural differences? How were you raised? How have you gone on to raise your children? It's so important. We do understand the method and the reasons for why people choose to beat their children. But what I'm going to explore with my co-host Drumz today is the many effects that which is why I'm so against it. Leave all your comments. I don't have to like it, we don't have to agree, but let's share opinions. Each one teach one. I can learn something from you guys, as maybe you can learn from me. My son's about to be 27 and I've given him 2 smacks in his life, and even then it distressed me. I asked him a few years ago saying, did that traumatize you? He's like, Mum, please, like really, Mum, because it bothers me so much. Like, again, I say some children may need that little, but I'm going to go into a topic that disturbed me, okay, which is why I want to do this topic today. The video that went round about 2 years ago of a Jamaican woman in Jamaica, naked, beating her child with a machete. Can I repeat that? I know that's extreme now, but let's go there. She was butt naked in Jamaica, beating her child with a machete. And the reason why she was doing that, because she caught her daughter being quite kinky with a boy on the phone. Okay, now many people was not disturbed by that. I mentioned this to my son. He said to me, "What? How can you not be disturbed by that level of craziness? Where have we gone?" So no kind of sit down, let's talk. Was that, she could have spoke to her daughter about her behavior, the risks of behaving a certain way very young towards boys. Instead, she brutalized her. This woman got arrested, by the way. I don't know the end of that story. I believe she got let out of jail, but I could not conceive that craziness.
All right, we'll check this, yeah? As I was saying, so I've left one school to go to another school,
Right.
And I've already been tainted in that school.
Right, okay.
They're stereotyped and tainted, So I've left that school now. And I've gone to a next school, and this school was full of little ruffians and bad boys and little upcoming upstarts, And I just didn't want to fight.
Okay.
And they wanted to fight me, and they was coming to me and want to fight, and I just didn't want to fight. I just didn't have it in me.
Okay.
And my headmaster told my mum he better toughen up by the time he goes to secondary school, because they're going to crucify him by the time he gets there.
How does this have an effect on you being beaten, so I can understand the chain reaction of what you're sharing?
Because basically, I grew up like that.
You grew up in defense mode because you've been hit so much from mum.
I've grown up like that.
Right. So going to school, you didn't want to fight. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about fighting yet, because I just grown up like that, just taking licks. Do you know what I mean? And my mum wasn't no disrespect to my mum, I love my mum.
They've done their best, but
my mum wasn't the talkative type of person, so anything go wrong, there could be 5 children and they said, oh, the kid's done something wrong. I'm definitely getting a beating for that. Even if no one else is getting beaten, I'm getting beaten for that.
Well, look. Okay, so listen. What I'd like us to look at, honestly, in this moment is, whilst we are the adults in this game called parenting, we know that we can read as much books and watch videos. You learn as you go along, yeah. And maybe you've had one child and you've been different with the second or third or fourth child. Okay, I've just had the one. Okay, now I'm a grandmother. It's a different generation. I personally wanted to exercise and exhaust communication, and the reason why I'm so passionate about communication, or the lack of it, is because I grew up in a non-emotional communicative household, which means laughter was present, electric, gas, good food, great clothes, you know, all that kind of security. But emotional connectivity and general communication on an emotional, psychological level was absent. A lot of Caribbeans, Africans, and Asians go through this, okay? It's just the legacy and generation, okay? Yeah. So for me, it was important to break that, what I call generational curse. Yeah, and basically magnify communication. Son, do you want to talk? You may not want to talk to me about certain things, but I'm here if you need me. Why did you do that? Why did you behave like that? What made you say this? Let's talk about that over dinner. Yeah, that's how I raised my son.
The reason why you're doing that, Silver, is because you are woke.
I felt from about 13, 12. I mean, I remember one of my brothers bringing home the wrong change from the shop. Yeah, wasn't the brightest light bulb in the pack, and he got a whooping for the wrong change.
That's right.
And it devastated me watching this unnecessary brutality. The fact that the kid didn't know his mathematics and maybe brought home the wrong sort. That is crazy to me.
But see, all that, that beating and stuff, that stems from
the slavery.
Adults, yeah, obviously slavery, what white man was doing to slaves, beating them and killing them in front of their women, so the women had fear in them. They pumped that same fear into their pitney. And sometimes, yeah, I'm not saying it on, well, I'm saying it on defense of the women. Some women are single mothers, yeah, they're scared, they've got no help, right? They don't know what the next move is, no family to help. And, you know, the last thing you want to hear is that your child's being rude, because it can end up being in a home. It can get arrested. I remember my school brought in a psychiatrist and asked me to speak to a psychiatrist. Right. That wasn't legal. You never spoke to my parents about that.
I prefer that. And this is what I'm saying. There are some modern day parents who are an older generation, modern day in the sense of the mentality. And they've asked their children, do you want to speak to a therapist? If it's got that extreme. Yeah. Do you want to speak to a counsellor? Do you need external support?
This is the first primary school. This wasn't primary school. This is secondary school done that to me. Yeah. But I'm going to talk about something that happened to me. Yeah. Primary school. Same primary school, Sunny Hill. Mr. Daniels, yeah? Airing you out, mate. I don't care. I'm not hiding it. Mr. Daniels was the headmaster in Sunny Hill School. Okay. Now my teacher, Miss Ryan, said, oh, he's being rude and we're sending you to headmaster. Okay. Everybody's scared when you're getting sent to the headmaster, because the headmaster's a top guy and he's firm, Mr. Daniels, yeah? He's taken me to his office and he got his fist, yeah, and went bang on my forehead. I'm about 5, 6 years old.
The teacher knocked you in your forehead with his fist, with his knuckles.
With his knuckles like that.
I would have ducked him.
He showed him.
He took his knuckles and knocked you in the head. The teacher. I would have ducked him.
Like this.
I would have ducked him as a parent. Are you mad?
Like this. Bang. Yeah. And I went flying. Yeah. And I was so frightened, yeah, that I didn't cry.
You were shocked.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what just happened.
And you had already been getting beaten from home as well.
Yeah.
Now it's happening at school.
Yeah, so this man took his knuckles and went bang on the, and he's the headmaster.
That's crazy.
White man done that to me, yeah? So I can't go home and tell my mum that happened to me.
Because she'll beat you on top of that.
Because all they need to say is, no, he was being rude and he's lying, and that's an extra beating for me now.
So let's talk about that. We know once upon a time, my mum told me this.
Mr. Daniels.
In her time of schooling, the teachers were able to whip you, okay? If they couldn't put a pencil through your hair, as a boy, you're going to get beats in the class from the teacher, and that was allowed. Okay, those days are gone. Yeah. So by the time you went to school, that should have been a no-no. But what I'd like to ask people and get them to think about is, if you are that adult now who was raised on, real beatings, how has that affected you? I'd love for you to add comments wherever you see this, whether I stream this later on. How did the beatings, and be honest, because I think, by sharing, it's actually a part of healing as well. And each one teach one. I'd like you to think about, how did it honestly affect you? You may have gone on to do this to your children, but how are you as an adult? Emotionally, spiritually, psychologically? Has it had a negative effect on your adult relationships with women or men based on the viciousness of being beaten a lot in school? Has it had an effect of receptive communication of your own children because all you know is beatings? Has it had an effect on your friendship groups? Are you easy to anger because all you know is being that beatings? Once you are developed and nurtured from a child in this way, it has serious psychological damages.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do want people to think about that. I'm not here to tell people how to raise their children. We're making suggestions here, and we're just sharing our points of views.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I say, I'd like to also move on to, with the parenting, the difference between how fathers parent their children versus mothers. Okay. Again, I say parenting is ambiguous. It's such a broad topic of parenting. Women has often been, known to be the soft ones. Where the boys will walk over them. I have you know, I'm extremely loving. I killed my son with absolute affection. I sport him with love, dedication, commitment, and affection. But I'm a disciplinarian. Mm-hmm. There's different forms of parenting, actually. The indulgent, the disciplinarian, the exclusive. There's all different types of parenting out there. There's all different titles of parenting. I'm the disciplinarian. I think my son once said that I like to power trip when he was younger. He liked to power trip, so I'm very strict. I'm a very strict mum. Although I felt like I had the balance where he could go out, he could socialise, he could have friends over the house, he could have females that would come and knock for him and spend time and chill. I felt like I had the balance. I was never going to be the mum that was going to sit and chill and smoke with you, though. I'm not that mum. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's one point I want to put. And because women have such a reputation of being too soft, I refused to be the single mum where he could walk over me. I refused. So how women parent and how fathers parent are very different. Maybe if I wasn't a single mom, the dynamics naturally would have been different. But I'm a militant person anyway, even though I'm very loving. I have that balance anyway. My son, I'll say we're pretty close. He always knew that he could talk to me, even though he's a more of an introvert. It's just his nature. I'm the talkative one. Yeah. It's not his style to be, showing his whole 32 teeth to everybody. You've got to earn that with him.
That's good.
And he's very authentic. He is what he is. He's so real and, in that way. But that's another thing that I wanted to, point out about the difference between how men and women parent. What are your thoughts, Drumz? You are a father of two. In your opinion, what are the differences, the pros and the cons in regards to different styles of how we parent as women versus men?
Well, Sir Drumz' personal opinion on parenting as a mother and parenting as a male. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally believe that if you're a unit, mum, dad, child, mm-hmm. or children, I personally believe that when the baby is born, mm-hmm. the woman is supposed to take control of the baby up until about 7.
While you do what exactly?
No, that's her, because that's her. She's gonna nurture the baby because, like, men ain't born with all that patience and that understanding and that caring. We ain't born with that. Okay. So if the baby's making noise, mum might say, "Stop it, noise! Shut up!" Or something.
You
like
would
that.
Not do that.
No. That's how men function like that.
Is that true? Are men less patient as?
They're born with that compassion. So woman will go, "Oh, baby, we don't do that. We say, "Stop it, noise, man." Stop the noise.
So you're saying that men are less patient, women are more nurturing, and so you're more quick to kind of say, what's the issue? And
because men ain't born with that compassion. We don't know about baby, okay, baby, what's the matter? We haven't got those things in us. There is men with that. I'm not generalizing, but most men are not born like that. They're born like, stop! What's he making all that noise for?
Because they say that men are logical and women are emotional naturally in our genetics.
Well, there you go. So we ain't born like that. So I feel like from the baby's born up until he's about 7, that's mummy's time. Mummy can show you and this and that. And by the time you get to about 7, 8, daddy kicks in now. All right, son, this is what's happening. You're going fishing. You're gonna do the washing up. I'm gonna teach you how to hoover. This is what I personally feel.
So how would you describe yourself as a father in regards to, are you the disciplinarian? Are you the, whatever words that you would choose? I know there's factual names out there, but how would you describe yourself as a parent? What's your style of parenting?
I'd say I'm strict. I'm a disciplinarian.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. Because as far as I'm concerned, yeah, it's like I've had one child before who's an older child, big up to my son, yeah? And the way he grew up, it wasn't my ideal way of him growing up. But it was out of my control because he's with his family, he's with his mum's side, and they do things their way. You know, and we can't see eye to eye. So if you're in the wrong, son, yeah, I'm going to tell you off and tell you that you're in the wrong, tell you about yourself, right? And I ain't doing you no favors. But at the same time, because you're on their side, they're still doing you favors. So they really and truly ain't doing you no favors. Because even when you're in the wrong, you're in the right.
Okay.
So where I look at it is when you're in the wrong, son. Yeah? And there's punishment and certain things that you got to go through. But with their side, it's like, no, it's all right. We'll tell him off. Well, you shouldn't do that. But see, I'm on here.
Would that be cultural differences or just difference in how we nurture our children?
I don't think it's cultural difference. I think that's their way of. We was more radical on my side.
Right.
They was more anything goes. Like my son could sit down, smoke a spliff and drink a brandy in front of his mum. You can't do none of that in front of me. I'm
glad you touched upon that. That brings me to the next point of parenting. Your parents, listen, parents, let me just say, your children are not your friends.
That's right.
I'm very staunch on this one. All this, we're best friends. No, I could have a daughter if I had one and we could be very close. But I don't think we should be best friends. I don't think that I need to be, hold on to that. I mean, I'm young enough. Yes, so there's a cool factor about me. I will proclaim. But there's none of that. When I see parents with their children and there's no barrier in regards to who's the mum and who's the child.
Exactly.
I don't care if you're 25, 30. To me, no.
Know yourself.
What's your thoughts, people? I want to send all your comments in. I'm going to read it in the break. Those who are watching the live stream. Are you that close to your children where you would classify them as your best friends? You know, do you sit down and smoke with your children? Where are you at with your children? Because I've given up smoking now for over a decade for the 3rd time. And it bothered me more that I did not want to be a smoker that got to a point of sharing weed bag and sharing Rizla with my son. I didn't ever want to see that. I didn't. Now, I can't speak for the future. But that has been something that's motivated me for over a decade. Let's be real. There may be occasion had I been smoking where I say, you know what, I can't get out today. Oh my God, my son's, wouldn't ask normally, but you got a Rizla or you got a lighter. I didn't want to be that parent. I'm not saying it makes you a bad parent. What I'm saying is we are not friends. And at some point, I'm sure it would have happened because, they're going to get older, whether they're 20, 30, whatever. I didn't want to be, I didn't like, what's your thoughts with that also when you're that cool with your children that now you're smoking and you're bunning together?
No, I don't respect that.
Give me a Rizla, mum or dad.
Because parents and child, yeah, there's a line. And from you start rubbing out the line, yeah, it's just like people that hang around with children. There's not a lot of adults that hang around with children.
Right,
yeah?
right.
And after a while, the children would deal with your clerk because there's no line.
There you go. There you go.
So you got to make sure that line is everywhere.
There you go. Again, I say my son's in his 20s and I may walk in a room when he's, wherever we are, family's home, and maybe he's on the phone and he's having a bit of a moment with a friend and a bit of a curse word. Be like, oh, sorry, mum.
That's respect.
As big as he is. Oh, sorry, mum.
That's respect.
I remember I was somewhere at a relative's house and he'd been smoking there for years, and I'd walked in. He's like, oh, Mum, because he didn't expect me to arrive. He's like, Mum, do you mind if I smoke? I always do when you're not here, but do you mind? And I said, I thank you for asking. That you would ask me in someone else's home if I mind you smoking while I'm in this house. And to my better judgment, I says, do as you normally would. Because I didn't want to come with my authoritative self and lay down laws in someone else's house. Yeah, but I respected that he asked me. And that's why I was like, be your full self.
Yeah, I respect that.
Do you understand that? Because he asked.
Because it's respect all the way round.
All the way
He's
round.
showing you, and you're showing him you're a big man.
That's what, and
right.
that's it. That's it. And that comes with cutting the apron strings. But on that note, we're going to have a commercial break, and I'm going to read your messages on the stream. Really reflect on how you were raised and how you have gone on to raise your own, and how that may have affected the dynamics in your own adult relationship. I would like to now expand on the topic of parenting where, oh my goodness, have you all noticed, come on, let's be honest now. Have you all noticed that when a child is branded as being sick or a sickly child, they don't even have to be terminally ill, but let's say terminally ill also, how they get away with so much curbing of discipline? The amount of bad breed children that I see that's around that got away with absolutely no discipline. The manners doesn't exist. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Or when a parent is absent in that child's life, how they let the children get away with such foul manners. The good cop versus bad cop. But let's stick on the sick child, because I see that a lot. Talk to me, Drums. Do you know any children or adults that were classified as, feeble, not too well?
I didn't.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it from like years ago. One terminally ill little girl. Let's start with that. She was sick but had the worst manners. What's sickness got to do with making sure your child's got manners? But what it is, when you're not in that position, I understand how you may be petting them a lot because you don't know when you're going to lose them. They're terminally ill. Yeah. But does that then mean you don't reinforce behavior patterns?
But then again, you can say that, but at the end of the day, like you said, the parents could be scared that they're going to lose their child at any moment. So is me having a regime or showing my militancy when I could show it love? Because I could show it love and the child could go tomorrow. Or I could show my if I was a militant, not me personally, but I'm saying if it was a case where the parent was militant and you don't know whether your child was going to pass, so you show your kid militancy and this and that and the other, right, and your kid passes, are you going to feel guilty within yourself saying, you know what, I could have allowed half of that, and just been more loving and caring, because it's not about that.
Okay, so let's be honest.
Because them parents might think that child's not going to live to be a certain age.
That could be the reason why. Now, let's say it's not necessarily terminally ill, but let's go with those two regimes, sickly and terminally ill. Only those who's going through it would truly be able to answer that. As it stands, we're just being spectators, yeah? Pigeon perspective, okay? Here's the thing. When we look at the word love, it's so dynamic. Because to one person, loving that child and not knowing how long they're going to live on this earth can mean doing all that they can, involving also molding the best model of a child that they can have.
That's right.
Another person who could be the Osborns will think, fuck it, we're rocking and rolling until the walls fall off. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. And therefore, forget all the rules, because let's just live it up. That child may go on to live up to 20, like a little girl that I know passed away. She wasn't supposed to live longer than about 6. Do you understand? So I'm thinking to myself, how do we view love?
But is love...
As in parenting love, how do we view that? And the reason why I'm going to say that, and I look at it because, okay, let me extend it just for a moment, but I'm not going to lose track too much. This thing called love has people thinking that there's no caterpillar before the butterflies. It's just butterflies.
That's right.
And I've clashed with multiple people, even in my personal life, because of this syndrome called love. They think that love must mean, how do you say this to me? It's because I love you while I'm telling you, motherfucker. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you understand that? That's the thing. People have this conception of, if you love them, you wouldn't say these things. Beauty doesn't always come in the format that we would like. So if you can put your children down to sit, if they're at a certain age, to reason with you. If they're too young, then you still have to have that reasonable being behavior. Because to me, that's me loving you.
Yeah, you're right. But I will say, if the doctor said your child might not live to a certain age, you might not have that on your mind.
I get that.
Remember, everybody has pickney or children and think, oh, I want my son to grow up and be this, and I can see my son's gonna do this, and my son or my daughter's so beautiful. They're not thinking about your child might not be here. It might not live till it's 6. That's a whole different thing.
It's a whole different heavy, of course, and that's why I'm saying we have pigeon perspective
with those
on this,
people that let it slide, not having a child for a long time, I would have said, no, there's liberties and they need to do this and that. No, but now having a child, now I look and I've got compassion for those people.
So the child's terminally ill and the child is out of order. Are you the parent? And let me put this to you. For those of you watching this live stream also who say, I'm reading some of the comments about, discipline is necessary, of course. And I responded back, but what type of discipline? If there is a terminally ill child involved, does that then mean now, do you suddenly go against the beatings? I want to ask you, for those who believe beatings is okay.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody in their right mind, if your child's terminally ill, is going to be beating your pickney.
No, but the children could be totally fine. I've seen this. The child could be seeing them. You wouldn't know they're ill.
No, but listen, if the
I don't mean in bed and wired up 24/7.
I know, but if the doctors told you that your child is terminally ill, and you're beating your pickney, there's something wrong with you.
Something wrong with people. Full stop. I grew up with a boy. Actually, no, wrong story. But I knew a boy that I know someone else who grew up with him. His mum beat him to the point where he's got a metal plate in his head.
Yeah, that's standard.
And now. Standard, are you hearing this?
And
now he functions a bit off key. You just know he's a sandwich short of a picnic, a penny short of a pound. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He was hit with a metal pot. He was seen doing this. Someone saw the mum doing this, and now he has a metal plate in his head.
Yeah, that's to the extreme, and that's too much. And if the mum got locked up, I saw it go. I'm not saying that you should get locked up, but if you got locked up for that, I saw it go. You understand? Because I've had some horrible beatings, yeah? But I've been to other households and seen rotted. Mum looked like Tyson in there. All the mum needs is boxing gloves now and a little ring.
But here's what I find interesting. A lot of parents of different generations seem to call other parents great parents when their child has become something in the public eye of status. I've noticed this. Let me break this down real quick. Oh, you're such a good parent. Your child's gone to uni. Now they're a doctor, lawyer, engineer. They could have been getting beat up, raped a lot in that house. No one's thinking about that.
That's right.
It's because your child's done well in his life.
That's right.
Now your child could be on the road. No one's going to see you as a good parent. Because they don't have that status. But yet your ingredients that you put into that child could have been seriously nurturing.
Yeah.
My philosophy is this. When you put all you can in your children and you do the best you can do for your children in your right sense of mind with the emotional intelligence involved, okay? How they choose to become once they leave the nest as an adult is no longer your problem.
That's right.
Look at all those Caucasian children, for an example, that went to the private school and Harvard and all this wonderful stuff. Next minute, then take a gun and shoot up the whole university. Those same children that they, through their childhood life, or even up to teenage, 14, 15, 16, had no issues. A grades, by the way, A grade students. You hear it all the time in America. the child's head tech them something was going on behind the scenes of the grades. Behind the good grades, something was going on that most people didn't detect because they're looking at the status of the grades. And then next minute, chop up the mum, put her in freezer. This, if you hear about these stories, and it's often,
you heard that,
sorry, every culture has their thing. Black people has their way, white folk has their way. Black people don't really do things like put mum in freezer. We do other things, but not crazy shit like that. Let's be honest. Come on, reason with me, people. We don't do crazy shit like that. You always hear, oh, so-and-so, A grade student, decided one day to hold the school hostage. Oh my God. They call the child having a moment. Let that be a black child. They ain't a moment. It's a real rough delinquent.
I'm gonna.
There's a disturbance going on that we're not identifying. Just because you have great grades or because you don't have a good job. How many paedophiles have a good job?
Of course.
This is why I get passionate. So we need to stop rating people just because their children's gone on to have a great profession and not know the ingredients of what that child's gone through.
But, all right. Well, you made a very valid point. Someone having a good job. What does that really mean in life, though?
It means, you remember, this is social technology takeover.
Yeah.
It means everything.
Yeah. But
it means everything to people. Status, forget that you could be a jackass asshole. Status means more to people. You could have been, this person could have been labelled a robber, killer, murderer, rapist. The fact that I'm seeing of you on TV, Silver's pop in. They don't care. We've gone mad. I'm trying to tell you, we've actually gone mad. I've been looking at this very closely. We've gone mad.
So let's talk about the black children nowadays, right now, yeah?
Right.
What would you say would be the solution for these children right now? The ones that's gunning, stabbing, robbing.
Truly,
prison.
Is this a real question?
Yeah, it's real. I'm asking you because
spiritual exercise.
Like what? Like what?
And I don't mean exorcist movie, but black style. Yeah. Spiritual exercise. I know it's a bit extreme, guys, but they're probably thinking she's gone mad. Yeah. There is. I know for those.
As a parent.
For those who don't believe.
Not a counselor, parent.
Okay. All right. For those who don't believe in spirituality, this is not for you. Don't leave me no foolish comments on my page. You understand? You're done now, my soulful sister. Yeah. So for those, I repeat, who claim to be atheists or whatever on my page, don't leave foolish comments with what I'm going to say, because I will put you on blast after the show. So here's what I'm saying to you.
Hear that?
Yeah, here's what I'm saying to you. For those who believe in the other dimension of this world, spiritual exercise may be necessary. A lot of us children are walking around demonic. The music, the kind of weed they're smoking. I'm being real. It's gone mad.
100%.
Weed is not weed how it used to be with our children. Now it's called amnesia and psychosis. That's a mental illness, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what they're smoking.
Yeah.
The music, the media, everything. They've gone mad. I'm actually being serious. They've gone mad. They're taking lives on the streets like it's a joke.
Yeah, point system and all this.
So I'm trying to say to you, I know it sounds like I'm saying it easy, but a lot of them need spiritual exercise. Something's not right.
Can you go in depth with that? Because there's some mums and dads saying, what does that mean?
All right. For some people, maybe you're religious and you're not really spiritual based. That really means you read Bible, you go to church, but you don't really understand the unseen, which is a spirit. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's the felt. All right? It's spiritual warfare. I can come and punch you in the face. That's physical. You can see me. But there's also energies fighting within that you cannot see.
That's right.
And it's exchanging itself all around. Those who get this, flow with me. Those who don't, bear with me. All right? Okay? All right? Some people may need to go to a trusted pastor that's proven himself. Okay? For drummers who don't like pastors too tough. Yeah? Some may need something as simple as burning sage in their house and burning out the enemy and whatever. Maybe it depends on what culture. If you're African, Asian and Caribbean, you get this. Even Irish, you would get this. Yeah? Some may need to cleanse their house. Thoroughly clean their house. Burn whatever you got to do and cleanse and put down prayers. Whatever your practice, I'm not going to dictate any practice. Mm-hmm. If our children are rebellious, sometimes there's nothing you can do but do it on their behalf while they still being delinquents on the streets or whatever they got to do. I'm being honest with you. Some children may not be delinquents, they may just be disturbed. So they may join you in the practice. I don't mean go to no Obia man though. Don't be playing with that shit.
That's right.
Yeah?
That's right.
Know the difference.
That's right.
Don't play with science to that point. Those who get me, flow with me. Those who don't, bear with me. I'm going to say again. Okay? A lot of our children of today are gobbled up by spiritual warfare. They're under attack. And no matter what some of us parents has done, there's no getting them off the streets.
So do you think that will work though? Because I'm saying to you, yeah, as a parent, because you're saying you don't agree with licks, I'm saying I 50-50 kind of agree with licks. I don't
But
say...
what kind of licks? If you say you agree with give us an example.
I mean 2 slap.
But I'm okay with the 2 clap, because some of them need it. You see, my son didn't need it.
Yeah,
thank God my son didn't need it. My son was a child that was he's an introvert. You got to get to know him to appreciate him. And he'd be laughing and joking, but he's not the type to skin teeth, as I say again. I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
Okay? My son's like my brother. They got to earn their kind of, you know. The only thing my son had was hard ears. He wasn't the child that listened the first time. So I got to talk at least 6 times. But I said to him, if I start frothing at the mouth, just run. It's that simple, just run. Just run. But, you know, it bothered me to raise my son on terror. It bothers me so much that you got to terrorize a child to listen to you. But I understand when you are frustrated and you are stressed, and especially as a single parent, that you may just want to lash out. I've seen parents lash out, slipper their child to the slipper or one breaking a stick over the child's back. I can't. Them things will make me cry. I'm not going to lie to you. I cannot.
But in saying that,
I cannot deal with it.
In saying that, Silva, you don't know whether that woman or that man who's the parent, you don't know whether he resents the next parent. There's enough women that whack up their youth because the youth looks like the dad.
I'm glad you... Are you hearing this, guys? I'm glad you... How could I forget that point? Let me just tell those who's on the live stream who can't hear. By the way, those who are not seeing my co-host, he's the man you don't see, the voice of the South.
That's right.
Yeah, Mr. Sir Drumz, otherwise known as Uncle Drummer. He's my co-host. He just mentioned about parents that beat their children who resembles their other parent. That is quite frequent. Do you know anyone, or you that person, that got beaten more so based on resentment because you reminded your parent of their father, which is it's usually that way around, isn't it?
Yeah. But
yeah.
The parent's not going to tell you that. If you look like your dad, yeah, and your dad's terrorized your mum, and your mum's left your dad, yeah, and you look like your dad, and your mum couldn't wait to get rid of that man, yeah, and now she's got rid of him. Every day she's looking at you and she can see his face. She's not gonna be woman enough to tell you that I hate your dad, I hate the sight of him, and you look exactly like him. Yeah? Right. And that's why I hate you. She's not gonna do that. She's gonna hide it and she's gonna ross you up anytime she needs to. And
you know why that's unfair? Do you wanna know why that's so unfair? I can't sit here and speak for every woman and man. There's so much that happens behind closed doors. And pictures on social media look so good until you know people's real stories with what they really go on with as couples behind closed doors, okay? Social media has us real fooled out of our position right about now. We have chosen the woman or man that we have slept with.
Of course.
So why we allow these children of ours to grow up with our load of resentment is so painful for me to bear, to even imagine that parents do that.
But most parents won't tell you. Like, a parent will slap you, yeah? Right, or take the belt and lash you, yeah, and they won't. Like me, if I'm gonna lick my child, yeah, I've hit my son, my grown son. I've beat my son 3 times, yeah.
What kind of beating was it? Come on.
Belt beating. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, he had to. Because you know why? Because I had to discipline him like that.
Was that the last resort?
Yeah, of course it was.
There was no other way.
Of course it was, because like me only hitting my son 3 times. That's great, because you've hit your son twice. I've hit my son 3 times.
But I didn't beat him.
No, but as far as I'm concerned, I needed to do that, because my son. I'm not even airing out my son, but my son, I think he's got maximum respect for me.
What's his age now?
22.
Okay.
I think he's got maximum respect for me. And I think it come down to them beatings because he knew that his dad wasn't petting.
See, there's different kinds of people.
I didn't want to beat him.
There's different types. You get people talking about their parents made them go choose the branch to get beat with, the pole to get beat with, the wire to get beat with. There's different types. People having welts all over their bodies. I cannot cope. I will cry. I can't. I cannot.
I had that.
And this is the thing you got to understand, people. I'm very loving, but I'm very militant at the same time. But certain things when it comes to children, I can't stand bad-mannered children. I cannot stand a bad-mannered child. That's one thing I cannot stand. You can see people on the road, even grown adults on the road who are road people, and they're so well-mannered.
Okay, so what would you rather? Would you rather... You said you don't like a bad-mannered child, yeah?
I don't.
So what would you rather see? A child that's in line, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
A child that's in line,
Okay.
right? With licks,
Right.
or a child that is not in line without licks.
Listen, you're giving me black or white. It doesn't have to be black or white. You see, let me no. Let me tell you this now, and you know I'm passionate on this, this topic. There are some things in life that can be seen as black and white.
Yeah.
And there's some that isn't. This topic, it's not a black or white. There's so many other avenues you can explore. It doesn't have to be beaten to behave or bad behavior. Are we really that dunce? Let's talk about this, people. Are we really that dunce and out of control? Okay, and lack emotional intelligence that all we can do is beat to keep in line or have a bad child? Please think about this. I want you lot to add these comments on my page. Please give me a list of suggestions of other methods that we can attempt. We're not saying it's going to work, but other methods that we can attempt that we can put into practice to help nurture our children. Hang on a minute. Maybe you've got an elder or a younger in your family or circle. Or maybe you even have a mentor or a big brother or big sister, as they call them in the industries of work, that can come and talk to your child. Maybe you can put them into cadets or brownies, whatever it is, whatever you come up with. Some people send their children back to Africa for 6 months or a year. Okay, you know that already. Some send them back to India. Whatever it is, and take their passport. Seriously. Are you telling me, people, that only beatings is the only option? No, I refuse. This is causing emotional damage. A lot of emotional damage. Okay? You see the girls and all they know how to do is... Some of these women are grown up now fighting men. I'm being serious. We talk about domestic violence on the last show, but you got women now comfortable putting their hands on men because they got beaten so much as children. Okay? You got women that prefer violence during sex because all they had was beating as children. I'm trying to tell you something. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that you mustn't give your child a one clap if they need it. But beatings, just think of that word, beatings. The viciousness, the monstrous behavior. I had my son at 17. So let's be honest, I was a baby having a baby. Do you not think me, of all people, should have been the one to be crazy and can't cope? Let's think about that. The older you get is the maturer you get. The more you've lived life, enough to have patience for your child. You agree to that, drama?
Yeah, I do.
So if I was 17, why was I not the person going mad and beating him? Why did I have so much emotional intelligence and spiritual centering to say, I don't want to raise my child on licks?
Because you was anti it. That's why you...
My mum was straight Jamaican, not a yardie. There's a difference. And my mum was anti-beats.
Yeah, but that's why
My dad
Yeah.
was for the beats.
Yeah, but that's why you have that in you.
I have it in me because I've looked at the effects around me from very young. I see it. These are the men that's grown up with beatings that are now comfortable beating women a lot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Not all of you, please bear with me, not all of you, but a lot of men who are comfortable beating women were beaten as children. And I've spoken to at least 2 of them. And they've said to me, all they know is violence.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you, Sylvia, is I understand, I overstand everything you're saying, But the children that we are looking at now on the roads
Beatings
now.
ain't helping them. You wanna know why?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I think
These are the children that will lick you down as children.
I think, yeah. What I think is that a lot of these children,
Right.
if they got beaten,
Right.
yeah, and disciplined.
Enough of them did. Enough of them did.
Well,
enough of them did.
A lot of the youths that I see nowadays, they're going up slack.
I don't know.
They're going up slack.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know.
There's not no discipline.
I do not know 99.99. Most of them has had licks growing up. The majority of people I know, including children,
that's killing people and stabbing up people and shooting,
has been licks when they're growing up. These are the ones now that's left home early as well, gone on to find a family on the streets, and all this other stuff. The beatings are not helping this generation. This generation is demonic spiritual warfare. We've got to go deeper. Do you understand? We've got to go deeper. This generation, licks ain't helping them. These children will box you back up as children.
So what's the solution?
Guess what? I don't have all the answers. I really don't. But what I'm saying is, it's not going to hurt to sit those teenagers down if they're at that age and say, listen, what's going on? What's going on? If you've been brutalizing them, they're not going to tell you anything. What's going on? Are you being bullied on the streets? Are you being peer pressured? You know, how do you feel? I've asked my son, let me tell you something about me. I've asked my son, how do you feel about certain topics, about me as a parent? That's the hardest question you can ask your children. Okay? If you think that all of this is okay, do me a favor and then come back and inbox me. Yeah? Ask your children now who are adults how they felt about the beatings. And for those adults who's gone on to beat their children, there's no point asking them. There's no point asking them because you can see how they feel. They've gone on to do the same things. Yeah? And I talk to so many people in this world, women and men and youngsters. And they say, I was beaten bad. Bad till their women drop out of them. Bad. I'm talking about bad beatings, bad.
Yeah, but what I'm trying
to
say...
finger brock.
But what I'm trying to say to you is, you can get beaten, yeah? And someone can show you that I love you. That's why I done that to you.
That ain't love to me.
But what I'm trying to say to you is, when you slap your son, yeah? What you saying? That's not love.
That wasn't love.
What?
Let me break.
Why do you slap him?
Let me break down something to you. I have a friend, big up Mr. Truth if you're locked in, and he once said something that sounded crazy to me, but it's very logical. He said, if you're going to beat your child, do it once you've calmed down. I laughed at him. But hear the logic of what he's saying. Really sit with that for a moment. It sounds crazy, but listen to the theory.
Yeah, I understand.
Because when you beat your children, it's out of anger and resentment and frustration. So you are an animal. And you never realize how far you're going sometimes or what you're putting into those lashes. The fact you can go away, sit down, compose yourself and say, right, you're going to get it. That sounds crazy to me because I can't imagine hitting you after being calm.
Right, so when you've done that.
I've never done it. His theory though, he told me this years ago and I had to think about that. That means that when he's going to hit his child, it's actually going to be in a mode of consciousness.
It's calculated.
I don't know any parent that's done that.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you is, when he sits down and calms down, has a drink and watches a bit of Emmerdale Farm, says, all right, this is done now, you're going to get it. And he claps that pick-me, yeah?
Right.
Is that love? Because you said it's not love.
I can't speak for that person's actions, but what I'm saying to you now, I don't feel beatings is out of love. It's out of, bear with me. Nobody hits their children in a calm state.
No, obviously.
It's out of frustration.
That's right.
Frustration, should we go in the dictionary? Doesn't equal love. It doesn't equal love, my brother. Again, I'm not judging those who do it in regards to a smack. If you're a vicious monster, then you need help. Okay? Straight up. What I'm saying to you is, when you beat your children, it's not out of love. No different to when you beat a woman or a woman beats a man. That's not love. It's control.
Now, what's the difference between, you're saying when you beat. So what's the difference between you slapping a woman in her face or you.
There's a big difference.
Or you taking a belt and whacking.
There's a big difference. Listen, violence is violence on adults. I saw a post the other day that's very interesting. It said, when you're an adult, you call it assault.
Yes, that's right.
When you're a child, you call it abuse. It broke down the same principle, but different words according to your age. Mm-hmm. And I had to sit back and be like, whoa.
But is it not the same thing?
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
When someone beats an adult, for an example, it's control to submit.
That's right.
To listening to what I want you to do.
That's right.
No different to a child.
That's right.
Difference is when you're an adult, you give yourself authority because it's your child.
That's right.
Okay? But the principle is the same. To beat into submission. Okay? Now, when you say what's the difference, if I come and slap at my child over the bottom or the legs or the arms or the face, which is the one that hurts me the most, the face. Yeah? There's a big difference in slapping your child like that. Whether it's 2, 3 lashes, I don't know. And going mad, bust up. I talk about this, there's a madness when parents go in on their children.
Of course.
It's frustration. It's like you're gonna hear me, you're gonna get it, you're gonna stop, you're gonna behave, you're gonna know I'm gonna tear your ass.
That's right.
And throw sea salt in it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That child's walking away all like this. Need one first aid box after that.
That's right. That's right.
I can't with you. I can't with this behaviour. I cannot with this behaviour. It's so... I think I'm passionate because... The reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I'm looking at the progressive damage it does once they get older. Everyone's sitting with what it's like when you're young. Everyone's caught up with what it's like when they're young. Okay? To how they want them to be. What about the psychological bruising? The scars you don't see?
But that comes with everything, though.
I don't need to be the person that causes it.
There's some people that don't lick their kids and it's bare psychological chess they're playing with their kid. And they're mashing up their mind. They're mashing up their mind.
That we know. Emotional abuse.
Some of them youths go on to shoot up the school.
That I can agree to.
And go and kill people.
So let's take it
there.
And
you sit down
let's take it there.
Let's
take it there. I can agree to that. It's not only beatings. But I was so passionate about this topic today. Because I just feel like people are just too okay with this. I'm in the street. And I'm seeing parents talk to their children. And all I'm hearing is, wait till you get home, I'm going to brack you up. I'm thinking to myself, is there no middle ground with these people? Where is the middle ground? Where is the middle ground? Must it go from talk to beatings? Is there nothing in between that we can try to use emotional intelligence before we get to that point? You have to understand, a lot of parents are damaged themselves.
Of course, 100%.
Let's go into that.
100%.
A lot of parents, you got to remember, damaged people are meeting damaged people and creating damaged children. Or damaged people are damaging non-damaged people and creating damaged children. So what I'm saying to you is, often, whether you beat them or not, as Drumz just said, other forms of ill treatment on children, a lot of parents are damaged, fractured or bruised themselves.
That's right.
So we go on to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Some parents don't know when to stop. Some parents have so much lack of awareness, they don't know when to stop having children to heal themselves. A lot of us parents need support and help and healing ourselves. Okay? And no one ain't trying to get help. So the children come along and it's bare crying, screaming, unruly, and what you're going to do? Beat them up. That's what I'm going to call it for what it is. Beat them up, tear their ass. How do you expect them to... I don't understand. What do you expect these children to become?
Yeah, but like I said, you can discipline your child with smacks or whatever you want to call it, but you need to show them children love. And you can't, most of the time, people that are beating and hitting their children, this is the other side I'm talking about, the not good side. They won't beat the child and say, you know what, I've done that and it hurt me to do that because I love you and I don't want you to fall into this.
Oh God, it hurt me when I smacked my child twice. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, it hurt me.
But to tell the child that this is why I done that. I don't want to do that to you, son. I don't want to do that to you, my daughter. But I don't want this could happen, that could happen. Most people are not doing that. They're gonna beat your clout up, yeah? And you do it again tomorrow, you get the
You know
same
what
thing.
though, I'm not gonna lie to you. Here's a contradiction real quick.
So if I couldn't go and speak to my mum and say, Mum, why did you do that to me? You know why? Because that will break her. Because she hasn't faced up to why she done it to me.
Can I just say this to you? I'm gonna brock you. We're talking about it.
Go on.
I'm sorry, like that sounds mean.
Go on.
If I've got a parent that's not cohesive in the sense of emotional intelligence, where communication's no point, I'm not gonna bother with them because it don't make no sense. They're just caught up in the old-fashioned term. They're not hearing.
Of course.
They're not hearing damages. They're not hearing this. You know, my father spoke about levels of beatings that he got as a child. All of a sudden, 2 years ago. It makes sense for why he was that way with his other children.
Of course.
By the time he had us, we didn't get those beats. My mum wasn't having it. My mum was not having it by the time he had the last two. Okay, she doesn't promote it. She don't mind the one slap, but she ain't having this viciousness. My dad then talked about, you know, how he was beaten as a child. Simple things like not being able to carry the bucket of water up a hill in Dominica. He's going to get some Zulu, Kinte, Kunte level of beats just because he couldn't manage the bucket of water. He ran away. He ran away from home. It was too much for him to bear, the beatings. But then he carried on that legacy and became that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say.
And what good did it have? Now, in some children, don't get me wrong, maybe especially Africans and some Asians, because I know that they're very disciplined culture. Mm-hmm. I would say more than Caribbean. I would say it straight. Africans and Asians are more structured and disciplined than Caribbeans. I would take on anyone in this subject.
100%.
Those children may have not liked the beatings, but they have got, believe me, they've gone on to be the lawyers, doctors, barristers. They may not want to be that, but they've got that degree. You better believe that.
So when you're talking about the beatings, are you talking about the beatings in Caribbean, or are you talking about
all over? But what I'm saying
they
is
they went on.
I know, but I'm saying to you, I'm not saying it doesn't work, the beatings. That's not what I'm saying to you. Because like I said, many Africans experience it across the continent, many Asians, many Irish, we can go on. I spoke to an Arab lady in the sauna 2 days ago. She said to me, guess what? She experienced the beat, you know, it's normal for them to bring out the belt.
Of course.
Okay, so I'm not saying it doesn't work for many people. But what I'm saying is, while they've gone on to get the degree, the masters, stay off the streets, I've come across those same type of people that's got the greatest jobs that you're like, oh, he's got a great job, she's got a great job. And they're so much in pain because of the past.
But maybe that was because of the lack of love.
Well, the love apparently was in the beatings.
You can get lit. That's what I'm trying to say. There's people that buy their kids whole heap of digits and gadgets and everything, yeah?
Right.
And don't get a hug and don't get told I love you.
Well, I don't know what that feels like for sure.
It'd
have been nice. You know, my parents didn't know about all that kind of stuff. So I'm very affectionate. And that's what I'm saying though, because of how I was raised, I appreciate so much of the teachings of how I was raised. But at the same time, with the lack of emotional connectivity and communication that I didn't have, and many of us didn't have growing up because of the legacy of how our parents grew with their parents, I've gone on to be extremely affectionate, extremely emotionally expressive with my son and other people. The whole growing up hugging and kissing, we didn't really see that. Mm-hmm. So when I moved on and grew up in my teens, I made sure that I went on to hug and kiss my siblings and my baby brother. That's all he knows, you know, because I kissed him, hugged him a lot, you know. So that's all he knows is when he sees me is to hug and kiss me, and I can squeeze him up. My son, all he knows is hugs and kiss. My son, no matter who he's with, whatever he could be on the road with his friends, when he sees me, hug up his mum, kiss up his mum, same way.
All right, I'm going to give you this scenario, yeah? Quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You're my child now, yeah?
Okay.
And I've grown you up the right way. I've talked to you. I've showed you compassion. I've listened to you. Okay. I've done all that I've tried to do to you. And you know, kids change when they get to teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So I've showed you all this love and affection and everything that I can show for you as a dad. Right? Now you get to this teenage thing now. You're a big woman. You ain't taking no chat, and you're doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Right.
I can either hit you.
Right.
Yeah. Or I can not hit you. If I hit you, and I show you that I love you, that's why I'm licking you, you know. I'm not licking you because there's something wrong with me. I'm licking you.
How are you showing me while you're hitting me? This is what I understand. How?
This is what I'm telling you.
So while you're beating, you're saying I love you.
No, I'm not beating you and telling you that. I'm telling you after, yeah.
Right.
That I'm upset that I had to do that to you. Yeah?
Okay.
Because I don't want to do this to you, yeah?
Okay.
You're making me feel like this is the last resort. I've talked to you, I've done this, I've tried that. You're not listening to me.
Okay.
And you carry on doing what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah? You're my daughter, you know. You carry on doing what you're doing. And I say, you know what? Go on up there, go do what you want to do. Go on, yeah? And you go out there and do what you're doing, yeah? And you end up in Holloway.
Is it that deep?
And you end up on drugs.
Is it that deep?
No. You end up in Holloway and you end up in drugs. Are you going to turn around and say, it's because of my licks that made you get there?
I don't think... I've never heard anyone say it's because of my licks why I'm on drugs or I'm a prostitute or whatever. What I'm saying to you is, I have a way with people, okay? I don't know why, it's my purpose. I could be at a bus stop and someone would express their life journey to me. Everywhere I go, even when I want to be quiet and have a moment, I don't get it. It's my purpose in life to soul connect with others. Even when I want my own time. I've had to accept this, okay? No one says it's because of the beatings why I don't have my dream job. But once you start talking to someone and listening, it goes back to these type of behaviors. It goes back to these. I'm not going to say to a parent, you should sit there and think their child's going to be a murderer, this and that if you beat them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's not enough thought process put in to other alternatives before you go mad. It's a madness that takes people when they beat. I've never seen someone beat someone in a calm state with a feather duster.
So your friend that said, calm down.
That's what he claimed was a suggestion.
So
that sounds crazy, but
that sounds psychotic to me.
The reason why it sounds
that sounds like Norman Bates.
The reason why it sounds psychotic is you're not used to that theory.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, anything outside of what we're used to is mad to us.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Anything we're not used to is mad.
Yeah.
I walk down the street and people in my friendships or partnerships, people walk around closed, barricaded, dubious, non-trusting. I'm transparent, abundant, free, loving. They see me as off key.
Yeah,
do you understand that?
Of course.
They don't understand how I can go through stuff and still be like this. It's madness to them. For me, I'm free. It doesn't mean I'm not afraid. I have my own shackles.
Yeah.
But they see it as I irritate people's spirit a lot. I know because I see it. Because I have that sense of freedom and I'm so transparent with my openness, it pisses people off. That's seen as off key. Because most people are like this, closed and scared, and let me not love and be a certain way, even with their own children.
That's right.
So okay, so let's push on with this whole parenting thing, yeah? Let's talk about...
this is a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's such an ambiguous
we need more
topic.
Time.
We need more time.
It's good.
Thank you for those who's
There's going to be a part 2.
For those who's locked into UJR and to my live stream, thank you so much. I don't know everything, so please educate me on your own perspective, with what you think, how you were raised, how you were not raised. Be honest with yourself, even if you don't tell me. How did the beatings affect you psychologically? Did it whip you into shape? Are you a great man or woman because of the beatings? Do you have any fractures or scars based on the beating, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually? Be honest with yourself. Let me know. You let yourself know. Or if you're that bold, share it with me. Inbox me. Or wherever you see these streams, put a comment. I want to know. I want to know. And I want to go on to dating whilst being a single parent. Because it's all parenting styles. Okay, so we have technically, let's call it 10 minutes before we wrap it up today on today's subject of the hour. And I can't wait to tell you about next week's subject, but you're gonna have to wait for that. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to get to read all your comments too after I finish the show. Thank you once again for locking in. For the next 10 minutes, let's talk about when you are a parent and dating. I'd like to start off by saying my son, as I say often, God willing, is going to be 27 this year. My son has only seen me bring home, when he was living at home, 2 men in all those years. I'm very proud of that.
Very good. Okay?
You don't have to keep it real, so let me go on to say something else. Yeah. My laundry was at a road. I have laundry.
That's right.
Okay? I keep this. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not.
That's right.
Okay? So when I had those moments of mom saying, can I have, dad saying, can I have my grandchild? I had my little rendezvous whether I was seeing you seriously or not seeing them seriously, whatever it is at the time, my younger days. But my son only saw 2 men come in as mummy's boyfriend. He may suspect 1 or 2 others that I may have liked, but there's no evidence of that. Okay? Let's talk about parenting styles in regards to men and women. Fellas, let me start with the fellas. I love you. You're magnificent. For you fellas that are no longer with your children's mother, how many women have you introduced to your children? Think about that. Not you yet, Drumz. I'm coming to you in a minute, bro. I'm coming to you. How many women? Let's start counting in our minds. How many women have you introduced to your children? How many women how many women has your child seen wake up in your house in the morning as a man, if you are a single father or have your children for weekends? And ladies, how many men has your children seen you wake up? Like, how many men have they seen?
How much uncles have they got?
How many fake uncles or the milkmen and them kind of ones? How many? Again, this is not about me condemning you. Let me break this down real quick. When you are a single parent especially, you spend an awful lot of time in the house. And not everyone has the discipline and the ability to lock down in celibacy. Not everyone has the tenacity to say, guess what, let me date outside the house when I can, or make sure he's right for me, have lunchtime dates and bring him home when it's, usually you would see that women bring the men home a lot because they can't go out. And they long for affection, adult communication, adult time, as opposed to babies 24/7. So what a lot of mistakes that women make is to have 1 man in, 1 man out. 1 man in, 1 man out. And in some cases, I repeat, some cases, some of these men has gone on to trouble your children. Let that marinate. Let that marinate. And maybe to those stories that are untold, some of these women has gone on to trouble your children. Okay? There's such a thirst for companionship and a void and loneliness that is so loud with many, that having different people in and out of our lives is more prominent than sitting still and knowing the effect it's going to have on your child. The reason why I was able to have 2 people that my son classified as mummy's boyfriend, they weren't, I'm going to look back now, they weren't fantastic guys, but at that stage of my life, it's where I was at. Okay? It bothered me that my son would grow up and say, Mum brought home a man that done us real wrong. Mum wasn't with my father, and then Mum went on to bring these different people home. It bothered me that my son would say that I was something terrible in his eyes. That was more of a motivation in my life than me bringing home different people. And that's why I managed to be that way. Not because I was a saint. I don't mind. I'm so me. I don't mind what you think of me. That's the reason why I managed to be that way. But it's something to think about. Everyone wants to be loved, accepted, appreciated and acknowledged. But how do we go about dating as a single person? Drumz, talk to me.
Well, me personally, yeah, I think one girl seen my son, my big son.
Oh, that's tremendous.
One girl.
That's tremendous.
She was my fiance.
In 22 years. Wow, that's tremendous.
One girl. No, my son, listen to what I'm telling you people, men and women, mum and dad, yeah? Mm-hmm. My son is like the president to me. You can't see that guy Yeah?
Okay.
I protect him with everything. My sons, because I have sons now, yeah?
Okay, two kings, two princes, two princes.
I protect them with everything. I don't play chess or drafts with my son, with none of them. So you can't see my son. You can't see what he looks like. You got. It's like you going to meet, I'd say, President Obama, because we're not going to talk about the other guy now, yeah? President Obama, yeah? Obama.
Okay.
You can't just walk in and go and see President Obama. You got to go through about 50, 60 different checks and different faces, and that's my son.
CV references. Well, listen. Well, you know, today, just to let's have a moment of just summarizing this whole talk today. This is Free Flowing Thoughts, live on UJR Talk Radio. And our shows are about freeing your thoughts and talking from a soul perspective. I don't rehearse what I say. I take notes so that I can hit points, but I don't rehearse what I say. And so we call this show Free Flowing Thoughts. And today we're talking about parenting styles. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're just here, this reasoning. You know, we learn as we go along. And as I say, those who's had more than one child may have a reflective point of how they treat different. You love them all the same, all your children. Those who have more than one child, but you love them as one whole, but you treat them differently. They're different individuals, your children. Correct, Drums?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure how you were with your first, you may be a little bit different with your second.
Yeah.
Whether you have more patience or less patience.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a very proud mother, and I'm always openly saying I was a single mother. I was a baby having a baby. I have no regrets. Of course, if I could have done things differently, I would have waited and lived my life, but I have no regrets. My son is the making of me. And once again, for me, I love my soul. I love my son soul deep. Okay, go through all the planets and back. That's how much I love him. I have no regrets. Being a parent is one of the greatest gifts. But for those who want to be and long to have a child, it doesn't make you any less of a person. You know, this universe has a way of giving us what it thinks we need or got to go through. Everyone has a purpose, and parenting is not for everyone, whether we're good or bad. But I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight on this talk. As I say, leave your comments wherever you see this post. Share this post. Maybe there's bits that I missed that I didn't say that I can learn from. I want to learn from you all. Drums, do you have any final thoughts for the viewers and listeners of tonight?
Yes, my final thoughts are, whatever you do, there's no manual book into being parent, into being a parent. So whatever you do, use your heart, use your discretion, use your honesty, use your love. So, like I said, I've had beats, yeah? And I don't think that they made me a bad person, but I realize a lot about beats, yeah? So if you're going to smack your child or whatever you're going to do, spend the time to talk to your child, to tell your child that you don't want to do that. And you're doing it out of love, not just whack up the youth and leave the youth to one side and then next week the same thing again. The youth's going to resent you and he's going to resent beating because there's no explanation in that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, as we grow older, if you're going to do that, if that's your method, understand and look into your method. Show empathy in it. Put yourself in that position. Right? Put yourself in that position. That's what I'd say. Uncle Drummer, the man of the hour, the man you can't see, the voice of the South. Love.
Thank you, drummers. Always a pleasure vibing with you and energy exchanging. It really is always a pleasure. Thank you guys for those who locked in as my listeners and for those who are locked in as my viewers. I'm going to try and do more live streams whenever the internet is good in this building. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Blessings.
Yours truly. Peace.
Blessings. That was heavy.
Let's do afterthoughts. We just finished our show on parenting styles. Drums, what's your afterthoughts?
I would say that this was very good, and I liked the way you was talking. I like what you were saying. I still say that I think that, you know, that discipline is relevant, but as long as you don't go overboard. And what I would say is that, you know, when you're disciplining your child or your children, you should have that dialect where you're talking to them and give them an understanding of what's going on. You know, you can't just be hitting someone and not talking to them. They're gonna resent you, they're gonna resent licks. And I feel like, you know, if there is hitting involved, then you should talk and make them understand, that you're not proud of doing that, you're not happy to do that.
Okay.
But this is like the last method that how it's working with me. So, you know, understanding, communication is the key.
Thank you, Drummer, for sharing your thoughts. My afterthoughts is, I do understand that there's different children that need different methods out here. And we're living in a time where the youth of today has gone crazy. And a lot of them has had licks. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference between giving them a solid smack and beatings. Know the difference. And there's a difference between receptive and projective communication and listening. And also a difference between emotional intelligence and being frustrated. These are all different categories that we can all learn from. I'm no guru on parenting. I'm just a student of life that's always willing to learn. So wherever you see this live streaming, please leave your comments, let me know. But yeah, today's topic of the hour was on parenting styles. What's your thoughts? What style of parenting do you project on your children? And when you're beating your children, you know, how do you feel after? What is your reflectivity point? Are you a communicative parent, or are you just a vicious beater, is the question. Let me know your thoughts. Well, this is Silver T Lyneng on Free Flame Thoughts on UJR Talk Radio. Peace.